Michael Feinstein. I'm a former mayor and city council member in Santa Monica, a co-founder of the Green Party of California, and a candidate for California Secretary of State. I'm here to talk about a proportional representation plan for the state legislature and how it would affect representation for your city. We recall in the last few months we've been in this gerrymandering fight with Texas, where they gerrymandered to gain more seats for the Republicans. We've now gerrymandered to gain more seats for the Democrats. And as we've just seen on the Supreme Court level, they've gutted the Voting Rights Act. What do we learn from this? It's that if we depend solely upon single-seat winner-take-all districts, how we draw the lines tells us who gets representation and who doesn't. But if you're not at the table of a democracy, you're on the menu. So where do we go now in this state? There are systems of proportional representation that are used by most of the countries around the world, where instead of just electing only one seat at a time, we elect a lot of seats in one geographic area. And if one party gets 20% of the vote, they get 20% of the seats. Another party gets 30% of the votes, they get 30% of the seats. Everybody then has a seat at the table of the democracy. And instead of just somebody from one party representing your area, you'd have some Democrats, you'd have some Republicans, you'd have some Greens like me, some Libertarians, etc. And we'd have more diversity. The plan that I'm recommending is what the Germans and the New Zealanders do, where they have half the seats elected from smaller single-seat districts and half the seats elected from regional proportional representation, multi-seat areas. The size that we have for our state legislature now is we have the worst per capita representation in the United States. So small. It was set in 1879. And if we kept that same proportion today, we'd have 5,000 members. I'm suggesting that we have 500. The point about having regional proportional representation districts is that we are both a nation state and a state of regions. We have public transit corridors and economic realities that are regional and not just local. And we should be sending people to Sacramento that come out of regional public policy debates instead of just our single-seat districts. My understanding is that the state legislature is going to put a repeal of the jungle primary on the ballot in the next session or two. And instead of just going back to our old system, I'm trying to spur a dialogue about proportional representation. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you for that.